Because, Your Honor, I object to
What
the fact
do you
that
not
he's calling it an
understand? Sir,
ORB.
your objections mean shit to me. So you keep saying, I object, I object, I object. I don't care. I don't care what you're objecting to. I'm going to hold you in contempt the next time you cut her off.
Well, I do object to the setting aside of my motion, Your Honor.
I'm not setting aside your motion. I'm denying your motion.
Well, denying. I object to the denying.
You can't object. You can appeal. Brother, why'd you just waste 5 minutes of my life?
All right, guys. Today we're dealing with a sovereign citizen who really thinks he can outsmart a judge with his made-up legal nonsense. And let me tell you, this judge is not having it. No BS, no games, just straight facts. Watching this guy try to twist actual laws while the judge calmly shuts him down is pure gold. Honestly, it's like a masterclass in patience and logic. I've got to give credit where it's due. This judge handles the situation like a pro. I'll never understand why these sovereign citizens think they're somehow above the law. Newsflash, the law doesn't care about your fantasy rules. Let me know in the comments, did the judge nail it, or do you think he should have gone even harder?
You got a motion filed?
Yeah, oh, yes, absolutely. I actually have issues to discuss before I cross.
But the court reporter needs to pick you up.
Here, you don't have to be at the podium, but at least have a seat at that table where that microphone is.
Threats, coercion, and I'm under duress. I'll cross.
You're under duress? How are you under duress?
Well, Your Honor, as stated in my motion, there's actually fraudulent word that was since unsigned by a judge. I have lawsuits filed on all of this stuff right now, which I know that they received.
Hold on, brother, wait. I'm just asking you to have a seat at the chair with a microphone.
Oh, I understand that. I'll do it. Okay. The front seconds up here.
That's fine. Just make sure you're talking to the microphone.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, you can sit down. Okay. So I think this is your motion to dismiss, right?
Yeah, I have a few in there that I've been repeatedly trying to be dismissed.
Which one do you want to start with first?
Well, the recent one I filed, the motion to reject swearing in and all that based off the fact that, like I said, I was sent a default motion that, I don't know how it even got sent out and passed it, but it was never signed or anything. I was also defaulted out the fact that there was a citation. I never even presented a court appearance.
Okay, hold on. You're giving me too many issues. You're talking about swearing in, you're talking about a default judgment. Just pick one issue. We're going to deal with them one at a time. So what do you want to deal with first?
Well, my main motion. Well, yeah, the default.
Okay, so was that on the civil infraction, failed to disclose the CPL?
I suppose that's what it was under, yes.
Okay, don't suppose, it's your motion, brother. Tell me what it is.
Well, it keeps getting
that's the only civil infraction.
I have numerous, I have lots of stuff.
Hold on, that's the only civil infraction I see with your name on it. So I'm just confirming that we're talking about that charge.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do you know why the default was entered? Did you miss a deadline? Did you
I was notified. I was called by people that I know within Huron and the police chief stating that I had a missed appearance date. I never had an appearance date scheduled. I went back looking at the citation. There was no date. And actually how fast it got issued raises real concerns to me. And then once I received the default in the order.
Hold on. Let's take one thing at a time. So you said you never got an appearance date.
Correct.
Do you have a copy of the ticket? Because I've got a copy.
Yeah, I said it's in there. It's attached to my motions.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the ticket?
I do.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask you to look at that copy of the ticket, because my copy of your ticket says contact court for appearance date.
It says contact court for appearance date. Where it says appearance date on or before, there's nothing.
Okay, but it says contact court for appearance date. That means the monkey's on your back to contact us.
I will also on the bottom of the tickets, it says if you fail to contact court within the specified amount of time. There was no specified amount of time on here. I had no idea when I was supposed to contact court. I was dealing with trying to get my attorney.
Let me ask you this. Did you contact the court?
I was again, as I said, I had no sort of any time frame to contact
Mr.
court.
Crucell, this is going to go a lot easier on everybody if you just answer the question I asked. I'm going to give you plenty of chance to give me any argument you want to give. Okay? So don't feel that you have to force your argument into every question I ask. The question was, did you contact the court?
Well, Your Honor, I would have contacted the court if I had a specified.
That's a yes or no. So I'm going to take that as a no. You didn't contact the court. So after 14 days on a civil infraction, if we don't hear from the defendant, we enter default.
It was less than that, actually, when I was defaulted, Your Honor.
Less than that from what?
From whatever this was issued. And like I said, I was contacting.
Well, once again, I'm going to draw your attention to the ticket.
This dude seriously cannot shut up. Like, the judge just made a perfectly solid point, and instead of letting it sink in, this guy keeps running his mouth. I don't get why these sovereign citizen types feel the need to argue with literally every single question. It's not rocket science. The judge is just trying to figure out if the guy intentionally skipped his court date, or if it was a legit misunderstanding. But no, rather than just answer like a normal person. He's out here acting like he's somehow above it all. Does this guy even realize he's digging his own grave? I honestly can't tell if they truly have no clue what's going on, or they just think they're the smartest person in the room. Either way, it's wild to watch. Let's dive back in.
My ticket, which I think is the same one you got, is dated February 3rd.
Correct.
Okay, so that's when it was issued, February 3rd.
Correct.
So when was the default? When did you get notice of a default?
Actually, I'm sorry, I know I got the thing in the mail. When did I get this? This says that, I don't think it specifies a date.
Well, did you make a note when you received it?
This told me, this said I don't remember exactly what date I received this in the
Okay.
mail, but this was scheduled for March 8th.
Okay.
So that was even less than a
But what is that that's scheduled?
This says it was for my order, the motion affidavit saying that I was defaulted and saying that I needed to pay bond and an a warrant would be issued. And I said,
Okay.
again, that was never.
And that's dated what?
This was dated 3/8. And I needed to appear
Okay.
on or before 3/8.
Okay, so that was March 8th. You were defaulted February 22nd.
Okay. Which then, again, there was no dates. I had no nothing. I had no
Okay.
notice
Well,
of any
well,
sort of.
well, once again, you're not hearing what I'm telling you. The monkey was on your back. The ticket clearly said you contact us. You never did.
And it also specifies right here, if you fail to appear by the date specified, and then on the bottom one, even for the other one, if you fail to answer a citation by date specified, there was no dates.
Okay,
There was no dates.
okay. Do you have anything to add?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Purcell brought this up when you were in front of the Honorable Judge Martin. She did set aside the default on the civil infraction, irregardless of whether or not he showed up.
Which I object to the setting
Sir, do
aside.
not interrupt the lady. Did she interrupt you?
No,
Then don't do that. Let's be civil. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Green, Mr. Purcell did bring it up again with the Honorable Judge Green, and she declined or denied his motion based on the fact that it was moot because the Judge Martin set it aside.
So the default's already been set aside.
Yes,
Brother, why'd you just waste 5 minutes of my life?
since March 14th, Your Honor.
which I object to that because there's.
You object to your motion being
No, I
granted?
object to them setting aside.
This dude literally got exactly what he asked for at his last hearing, and now he's acting like he has no idea what's going on. Judge Martin, his original judge, actually went out of his way to set aside the guy's default because he filed a motion requesting it. The court gave him exactly what he wanted, and now he strolls and confused about his default date, like it's someone else's fault. These sovereign citizen types kill me. No respect for the court, no respect for the process, and definitely no respect for the taxpayers who foot the bill for all this nonsense. Do they even realize how much time and money they waste dragging these cases out with their made-up rules and fantasy legal theories? What do you guys think? Should judges even bother engaging with people like this? Or should they just start handing out jail time the moment someone whips out that sovereign citizen script? Let's get back to it.
And I object to
No. Wait. Listen. She tells me Judge Martin set aside the default based on your motion.
Yes, but I was never told any of that prior to any of that.
So you want to argue about the fact that you got what you asked for?
No, what I'm saying is the fact that the due process was violated is what happened in this whole problem. When I was defaulted, due process was violated.
So what? She set it aside.
Listen, it was set aside to cause damages to me because of what happened with the default.
Well, explain to me how you were damaged.
First off, there's threats made against me, right? Clearly, he's threatening me to issue
No.
warrants,
I didn't ask you
threatening to
about
pay
threats.
money.
I said, how were you? You said you were damaged. I'm asking you, what was the damage?
But the fact that I was threatened to come in to pay money or warrants. would
How
be
was that
issued for my
damage?
arrest. And I was being threatened by Huron Police, which I have on record.
What's the damage?
What do you mean? The fact that I had to come in and pay money, or I would have been, there'd been issued.
What money
warrants.
did you pay?
Huh?
What money did you pay?
$280. I had the receipt and everything. It was all attached to my motions. They just keep trying to set it aside. And Judge Green never said a word to me
Stop.
about any of that.
It's been set aside. Counsel just said, Judge Martin set aside the default. So what that means is procedurally, it's like it's a brand new file. Understood?
Yeah, but that's but that, especially now with the new chevron overlay, that's just saying that she's just trying to set it aside, that there's no issues. with
She
the
didn't try
court.
to set it aside, she sat it
But she
aside.
can't. She can't just set my rights aside.
She's not setting your rights aside, she set a default aside because you asked her to.
Well, so if it's decided, then the money should be returned, correct?
Well, I don't know. Did she address the money?
I don't
No,
think
she
so.
never did. No one did. It's
Sir.
written in my motion.
Sir, I'm going to hold you in contempt the next time you cut her off.
There it is. That's the kind of judge we need to deal with these fools. Now, to be fair, if you rewind just a few seconds, I'll admit it was a little unclear whether the judge was actually talking to the sovereign citizen at that moment. But still, come on. No matter how you slice it, this guy is just a total clown. His arguments are all over the place. And honestly, I really wish we could see his face while he's spewing this nonsense. Because I guarantee you it's peak delusion. Even if he didn't know the judge was addressing him directly, this dude just needs to either shut his mouth or hire a real lawyer. Because nothing he's saying makes a shred of legal sense. If anyone out there can explain what point he's even trying to make, please drop in the comments. Because I genuinely try to follow the law, not fall down the rabbit hole with these Fantasyland arguments. Thankfully, the judge shut him down hard this time. Let's dive back in and see if this guy dares to interrupt again.
The first contempt, $100. The second contempt, a day in jail. Are we clear on the ground rules for my courtroom? Is that a yes for the
Yes, Your
record?
Honor.
Okay. I'm giving you all the time you need to talk. Don't talk over her.
Okay, I understand. I'm sorry. There's just been a lot that's been going on with this.
And I'm the first time I'm seeing it, so I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
You're right.
All right. So we started with what motion do you want to talk about first? You said your motion to set aside the default. That was granted by Judge Martin, is what I'm hearing from the prosecutor. So that motion's done. Would you agree?
As long as my money gets returned, then I guess it's taken
At
care
some
of.
point, trust me, your money will either get applied or returned. Next motion you want to talk about.
The dismissal based off of fundamental violations of my fundamental rights and due process.
Okay, well, tell me more.
Okay.
Do you have, hold on, let me just cut to the chase. Do you have more than just the fact that you think you have a right to travel?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually,
That's denied. I'll just cut to the chase. That's denied. I don't buy into that argument. Now, you can appeal that decision to the circuit court. You understand how that works? District court decisions you can appeal.
absolutely.
Okay, hold on. I've denied that motion. We're not going to talk about that motion because I've denied it based on your argument that you have a right to travel and don't need a license. Is there anything else you want to hang your hat on for dismissal?
Well, I do object to the setting aside of my motion, Your Honor.
I'm not setting aside your motion. I'm denying your motion.
Well, denying. I object to the
You
denying.
can't
of my
object. You can appeal.
motion. But I'm just
Okay.
letting you know, I'm stating for the record that I am objecting to your denial of my appeal.
That's fine.
Okay.
Circuit court judges have bills to pay too, right? So you appeal me to the circuit court. Do you have any other argument why these cases should be dismissed?
That's well, honest, Your Honor. Like I said, I even have lawsuits. They've received my lawsuits to the Huron Township Police Department overall.
Hold on. I don't know anything about lawsuit. How would you suing the township work as a reason to dismiss these charges?
Because the initial traffic stop and everything was an unlawful stop from the get. I was
Okay, but that's got nothing to do with your lawsuit. That might be the basis of your lawsuit. So you want to talk about whether or not there was a valid reason for a
Yeah,
stop?
absolutely.
Then make the argument.
Your Honor, so prior to me being pulled over by this officer, I was actually in contact with several law enforcement officers that are friends, and actually two that are currently working within Huron that had confirmed I had every lawful right to be doing what I was doing. The one even pulled up to me and my wife at a gas station in town, and or in Sibley and Middlebelt, right near actually where I got pulled over. And we had discussed it and talked about it and went on about our day. And this was all prior to this incident. I had two other interactions with this officer where I had specifically told him, I've already been confirmed and doing lawful, I'm well within my lawful rights. I have it documented. You need to go talk to the sergeant that I've been talking to and a couple other buddies, right? I gave him that opportunity. It was shortly after that. And I had that confirmation well prior to me even being pulled over. Okay. So then, this officer seen me leaving my house, pulling off my dead end dirt road, proceeded. Like I said, I even told him, I've already had this, I've already used this. You need to go talk to the sergeant.
Right.
Chose not to. Pulled me over, walked up, just started demanding ID and everything from me, and wouldn't identify himself, none of that good stuff. And then now this is where it's all led to. And I informed him, I have body cams, I have my own recording. Like I said, I have a lot.
Okay, but you started out by saying you wanted this dismissed because there was not probable cause for the stop.
Correct.
Okay. And then you went on to tell me how there was obviously a difference in opinion within the department about whether or not what you were doing was legal or not.
Well, I
Is that
specifically
a fair
stated,
summation?
What was that?
Is that a fair summation of what you just said? Some of the officers that you talked to said you could do that, and obviously the officer that wrote you the ticket didn't think you could.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a difference of opinion there, which has very little, if anything, to do with the probable cause for the stop.